We had the pleasure of sitting down with renowned filmmaking master Christopher Nolan and talk about the making of his latest epic, Odyssey. So please sit back and enjoy this conversation. I think you'll like it.
Keep us free!
Hi, Mr. Nolan. This was back in 2023.
Now here we are again.
Yeah, there we go. This time we have something special to show you. Last time we built a little miniature set for the Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
But this time we have the Cyclops.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's handcrafted by our prop maker in our company. So I guess we'll use this to lead the interview and ask questions
Sure.
on filmmaking.
Yeah, can I pick it up?
Yeah, go for it. Because we don't have the 3D model, so we have to, use the 2D image to guess for the 3D. I don't know if it's actually like on set, but
Pretty good.
all right. So yeah, this time obviously a lot of challenge for you to make this film.
Yeah.
Especially with the IMAX camera. So my first question is about the aerial shots. So there are some telephoto aerial shots. And imagine using such a big camera. I don't know how you manage to stabilize the camera and grab all these amazing aerial shots.
Well, we've been using aerial mounts, helicopter mounts with IMAX cameras for a lot of years, actually. Ultimately, what aerial stabilization is all about is just stopping the lens moving in the XY direction. And then the movement of the helicopter is smoothed out to a degree. So we have a lot of experience doing that. It's really having a mount big enough. The other thing we have to do is the camera has a set of controls on the top, the lid, that shuts. We have to remove that and put a flat lid on there so it fits into the housing for the helicopter. But we've been doing that a lot. I mean, ever since The Dark Knight, actually, with different camera mounts. So we know how to do that.
So you're always on helicopter, right?
Always on helicopter. Yeah, there's no drone big enough to fly an IMAX camera yet. There is. My brother has flown a 35mm camera on a drone for his show, Westworld. But yeah, for IMAX, you need to be on a helicopter.
And how about the underwater? So there are some like underwater and over the water shots in between. I can't imagine underwater housing being that big.
It's a very big. We call it a torpedo. It's a very big steel housing that out of the water is incredibly heavy. It has to be with a crane. But as soon as it gets into the water with the displacement and the buoyancy, it's actually pretty easy to use. So Hoyter himself, myself will go under, on air and move this thing around.
How do you view the image if a Hoyt is on the camera, and how do you see the image?
You basically have a monitor. There's a separate sort of waterproof monitor that if you have a mask on, you can see, and it's attached to the tube. So he's using that as a viewfinder. You can see on the video monitor enough to see if you're framing correctly, but a lot of it is about where you're filming, how clean is the water, because of course with underwater photography, as soon as there's anything in the water, it gets incredibly cloudy very quickly.
But do you get seasick? Because I tried to film underwater when looking at monitor. It's very easy to go seasick.
It depends on how much you're moving. I mean, with most of what we were doing underwater, we weren't moving much. When you're on a boat and you use the monitor, that you can get very seasick.
Okay, so there wasn't time you'd be like, 1 second, guys.
No, I do pretty well. We had one very rough day on the boat where some of the actors, not Matt, he's very good on boats, but some of the actors started getting sick. We had some unpleasant days out there, but Hoyter luckily doesn't get seasick. I'm fine as long as I'm not looking too long at the monitor. You glance at the monitor and you have to look out at the horizon and then you feel okay.
Okay. And how did you and Hoyt light, those kind of dark scenes? Because there are a lot of dark scenes in this film.
Yeah, they're all lit. What I challenge Hoyter to do, because Hoyter, the thing about Hoyter is he's a great artist. He had shown me on Oppenheimer we used LED technology to do things that we wouldn't have been able to do with older lighting. So, for example, in the Trinity test, when you see the light of the explosion on Oppenheimer's face and it changes colors continuously. So before the Odyssey, I came to Hoyter and I said, I want to shoot everything as if by firelight, which is not practical because of the heat put off by the flames and the exposure you need. But is there a way with LEDs? Can you come up with some approach that no one's done before? And he took that challenge and he invented this extraordinary form of lighting. He calls them pyrohedron. It's basically a pyramid with LEDs on it. You feed a video of fire, flickering fire. And it's sort of like a low resolution video monitor in a way, with these LEDs that they can only display red-orange. They can only display the color of fire, exactly. You can't put any other
Full
color.
fidelity of the fire.
Exactly. And so the movement and the flicker, and you could change it. We had different video clips for different wind conditions and things like that. And they made hundreds of these things. For the sack of Troy, for example, people running through the city of Troy at night, these things are everywhere. We used hundreds of them. They're battery operated. One person could just lift them up, put them down. You can move them around. He could control the flicker, the frequency, things like that, the brightness. And that way we were able to really shoot every environment as if it was really lit by firelight.
Yeah, because the fidelity is incredible. Because I looked at the image, I was like, this can't be like a huge, softbox or anything.
There's no moon box, there's no softbox, there's no windy light. It's a totally new approach where all the depth of the lighting is created by individual fire sources. And it really let me as a director get in and just shoot in all directions and just shoot as if we were out in a modern city at night, for example. It's never been done before, which is an exciting thing to be involved with.
All right, now there's a little Easter egg. This thing actually can turn. So if we turn around, you can see now this is a set of the Cyclops. So we watch the behind the scenes. So we try to mimic. And this is a little blimp IMAX.
Wow.
We handcrafted. You can open the lid at the back, and then you can see the actual camera. I don't know if it's actually like that.
Very much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how the lid. So it lifts up, and then the camera slides back. But that's very cool.
Yeah, we tried our best to replicate it.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. How quiet is the camera with the blimp on?
With the blimp, it's effectively silent. I mean, you can hear a little gentle purring, but it's easy enough to filter out. There are a couple of shots in the film where we left the sound in because we actually kind of like the way it sounded. It's like a purring cat. It's very gentle. So it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. Yeah.
And I heard in previous interviews you use a mirror system to guide the islands of the actors.
Yes.
But I didn't quite get what exactly is going on with the mirror. Do you mind to
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, I could try and demonstrate this, although it's fairly small. But when you have two actors speaking, the camera interposes. When you come to do the close-up, the one actor can't see the other. Because of the size of the box, it's really huge. So you're really blocking the view. So what I asked them to do, if we could use two mirrors, like a sideways periscope, then the actor could stand, instead of where they would really be, which would be there, they could stand further apart and look through one mirror, bouncing onto a half-silvered mirror on the front of the lens. And so that way, that actor is seeing the reflection of this actor in front of the lens, very close to the lens. So you can have a very tight eye line, a tight look.
Because it looks really natural in the dialogue. I never noticed anything.
No, well, all of that is so that you don't notice it. Because the thing with eye line, they have to be quite close to the lens. But you want the person performing naturally with the other actor. You also want their eyes to be focused deep to where the actor would be. We needed a mirror system so they can actually look through the reflection and actually see the eyes of once you don't see the over the shoulder. Once you're in on somebody's face, then they're using that mirror system personally.
Purely analog.
Purely analog, yeah.
Amazing. And there's one thing, I always see behind the scene, you have like a little thing with antenna. It's like television or something on you. What is this machine?
That's just a little video monitor that I use because I like to look at the actors to eye and not be in a video village, with a big monitor in a tent or something. I want to be right there talking to the actors, looking at the actors. But then I can just look at this thing and check the framing of the camera and see, how it's framed.
But how do you control the continuity? Because the monitor is quite small.
Yes.
And the continuity is so important for this film. There's so much people. Is there certain people?
Yes, we have a script supervisor is the title. There are bigger monitors further away, so we could use those. But what I prefer him to do is to use his eyes and actually see, because sometimes if you're just looking at the monitor, you don't see what hand somebody does something with, if it's out of frame. Whereas if the script supervisor is looking, from the side or something, they can see the continuity, they can see what people are doing, so that when you move the camera, it's done in the same way.
So it's very tightly controlled for continuity. The armor, the everything.
Yeah, very tightly controlled.
Right. Next one is regarding entropy. So this film has a lot of entropy in a good way. Mm-hmm. You have the cave scene, which is really challenging for IMAX camera. Then you go to the water, aerial shots, a lot of these. How do you control everything to be intact?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting way of asking the question. I think that with large-scale filmmaking, A lot of the most complicated sequences have the most planning. So we're very prepared by the time we come. And the really complicated equation is we wanted bad weather. Usually when people film, they want good weather, so it's easier. But we wanted bad weather because we're trying to show the wrath of Poseidon. We're trying to show the difficulty, the challenge posed by the ocean, by storms and such. So we wanted to be in the worst weather that was safe for us to bring a crew out. And that's a tricky thing to sort of hit that spot in terms of the time of year you shoot, in terms of, you have to wait on the dock. And sometimes you can't go out because it's too rough. You wait, and then they go, okay, now you get in and you go out there or whatever, and you film as long as you can, and then you have to stop, you then go back in. There's a level of controlled chaos, which is filmmaking where you interact with the natural world. The element of serendipity, the element of the natural world, the unpredictable things coming together in a way that gives you something that's more than the sum of its parts, something that has a complexity of the natural world.
And another question is on Foley. I really enjoyed the Foley for this film, and especially for the boat run. That as a motif, I think is incredible. It has me goosebumps. So how much effort was put into the Foley? I think it's underappreciated.
A huge amount of effort, particularly with the bow, the tension as the bow is strung. And then at points, and the pluck of the bow in particular, is actually a Foley sound effect, and it's also a musical note from Ludwig Göransson, combined with the Foley. Craig and his team, they did a lot of passes, more than usual, because I felt that it was very important that people really hear the armor, the things are made of. When guys are climbing up the path towards the Cyclops cave or whatever, we had them redo that 2, 3, 4 times and really try to come up with new materiality, a new feeling, and that's what Foley can give you. So with the Lystragonians, for example, these giants in these silver outfits, they have a completely different approach to the Foley of that armor as for the armor of the Greeks. And so you start to be able to create a sonic identity for the different types of person or creature or whatever environment. It's a really powerful tool in terms of allowing you to feel the materiality of the world.
Yeah, because the ocean or the Foley, it really helps to bring people into the mood. Yeah. And probably last question I have is, obviously you have so much knowledge about filmmaking, yet every time you took on the challenge. But knowledge is eventually has a border. So if you want to build a huge set, maybe you're not so professional for the construction itself, or maybe something that you don't know. So how do you make sure you're trusting the right people to deliver the right thing at the right time? What if something goes sideways when you reach the set? It's not exactly as you wanted.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is preparation. A lot of that is working with people you worked with before. One of the things we do in preparation that's very useful is we do a production meeting every week, because filmmaking, where it goes wrong, it's generally that one department didn't know what another department was doing, and so the expectations aren't met, so they're not on the same page. So every week, in the weeks of pre-production, we talk about every issue, talk about how we're going to do things, how we're going to bring things to the table. There's a lot more predictability in terms of how people arrive at things and what the expectations are.
Oh, I guess that's all my questions, Mr. Nolan.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, putting some time for this.
Hope our conversation with Christopher Nolan gives you some insight into the making of Odyssey and his thinking process in general. So please share this video to your fellow film lovers and give us a like and a sub. We'll be sure to see you next time.